The popular move of the day is to talk a little bit more about GTA 6 than everyone else already is, so let's do it. From a black background, two teal canes crossing behind a pink atom flicker on in neon light. To the right, white words stack vertically, blind over matter. The words and logo fade to black. As a person with a disability, I find that my experiences with video games can vary quite wildly. Some games work really well for me, some do not, and a lot of that comes down to what sort of accessibility features every game that I play allows me to toy with and change. And I've heard some things with GTA 6 that have me really excited and interested. I have heard some things that really concern me, and I'm happy to go in detail in future videos about specific features, but today I wanted to just give you my thoughts right now. There are many people who probably know more about the specifics than I do, so this is my layman's kind of just TLDR as a disabled gamer, my experience currently after watching the Netflix extended look yesterday and kind of hearing some of the discourse online over the last day and a half or so. I wanted to kind of weigh in. So let's talk disability and GTA 6. Now, the first thing that I have heard, and I cannot see for myself, which I'll get into the specifics on that importance in a bit, but the first thing I've heard is that this game is likely to feature NPCs or non-player characters with disabilities. That's kind of cool. I can't think of any other games off the top of my head where this has been something that has been noted. Doesn't mean it hasn't been featured in any other game, I just haven't really heard it mentioned by other people. I believe the things that people have pointed out thus far have been folks using scooters, like mobility scooters, which is common in Florida because you get a lot of retirees and some folks can't walk so well, so you get people in mobility scooters. And the other thing that I believe has been mentioned as well is people in wheelchairs, which is really cool. Now, so the really cool thing about that, right, is representation. Disabled people are people. We exist in the world. It'd be very cool to see them, bopping around in the open world. The caveat to that, and what I want to kind of focus on today, is if you have disabled non-player characters, my hope would be that because you've taken the time to add as a detail people with disabilities into the world you're creating, that same level of care would be given as an option for those of us with disabilities who play your game. And I'm going to get into a couple of features that would help me, and in future videos I can kind of expand on these and talk about them a little bit more, but I want to give you some ideas. Now, the first thing that would help me a lot is a voiced GPS for driving, and specifically one that is accurate, because it would allow me to navigate by hearing. And I think it would be immersive for one, and you could turn it off, have this as an option. And here's the first thing I'm going to say about all of the things that I want to bring up, and I should have started with this, but all the features that I'm going to bring up in this video are things that I would like to see essentially as toggleable options, so that if you're not disabled or you just find these features frustrating, annoying, or not to your gameplay preferences, you could turn them off, okay? So first option, a toggleable voiced GPS that is accurate and allows for driving that's navigated by voice. Now, that covers your car. It doesn't cover boats, it doesn't cover planes, and it doesn't cover on foot. So my thinking for those environments would be something similar actually to what one of the Lego Star Wars games did, and that is that there was an option that when you click in your right stick on a controller, the camera would reorient to your checkpoint or your objective. And so then you could walk essentially straight forward to where the camera had pointed to reach your objective. And for driving, right, for a boat or a plane or something like that, to reorient the camera, you could also have that kind of auto center your controls to straighten out your vehicle in that direction. Now, would that solve every problem? No, but it might help if I get turned around for me to kind of get back on track or to get reoriented to where I'm supposed to be. I would also like to see something similar on foot. specifically with interiors and navigating tough mission spaces where, for example, you might be chasing someone. And that leads me to my next feature, but I will kind of pause for a moment and say that again, the idea for this feature is that the camera kind of recenters on your checkpoint or your objective and then faces your character in that direction. The second, again, toggleable option, I need to stress this, is that when you are in a chase, that there would be the option of a kind of a lock-on feature so that I'm always locked onto that target and, you know, maybe I'm controlling how fast I'm running and whether I'm shooting and those sorts of things, but that my character will always be paying attention to the enemy that I'm chasing. That might be hard when there's more than one enemy or in some sequences, so I don't know the specifics on how this could work. But it's something I need help with because when those types of missions happen, I usually have to bother my poor wife who, you know, likes video games and she'll help me out, but she isn't as keen on them, and so sometimes those things can be really overwhelming for her, and I would just like to see a way for me, as a disabled person who's blind, right, to be able to do these things independently. Now, that next feature that I was kind of getting onto was that kind of auto lock for chases. The other thing that I like, and we're going to talk about some things that already exist in the game in just a moment, but the other thing that I like is that there appear to be the framework of options for you to customize unintentionally for accessibility assistance. And here's where I want to give the game some praise and some critique. So, the first item that I have seen is that you can, if Jason and Lucia, who are our characters, are in a car together, and let's say Lucia is driving the car, I could then switch to Jason and Lucia would continue to drive the car on her own. And that is so helpful for me as a blind person because there are times when, especially in a chaotic mission, like a chase again, where I'm being chased, I cannot see to not end up like running into 5 walls and getting stuck in a courtyard and having all the police surround me and then I'm done, right? And so having the ability to hop and say, all right, Lucia, you take over. I'm going to be Jason. I'm going to stick my head out the window and do my best to, you know, pop some tires and eradicate some vehicles behind us. And so that's a feature I actually really liked the sound of. Now, how that works in execution is kind of another matter. But if you combine those things with my voice-activated GPS, I might even be able to drive on my own for some of these scenes. And I think so much of this game is going to depend on this next feature. And what I've heard is that essentially the aim bot, or the really intense locking aim that is rather infamous in the GTA series, and to an extent the Red Dead Redemption games as well, is kind of being scaled back for non-disabled gamers here. Now, much respect, and I think that by default, whatever they're going to do is fine. I must stress again, I want this to be a toggleable option. And that is to have that really intense aiming, auto assist, auto lock, whatever you want to call it, aimbot as some people call it. I need it. I cannot see. And so when I'm playing these games, I might see an environment, but I can't always see where someone might be hiding. And so if I can hit that button and have it locked to that spot, I have a better chance of taking out an enemy and progressing the story than I do if I'm just kind of hoping, you know, bonking around the room and getting shot from various places because I'm not seeing what's going on. And so if I have this really intense locking aim system, now I can navigate this on my own. And, you know, is it as rewarding as it would be to manually aim? Probably not. I don't have the option with the vision that I have to manually aim and be successful while I play these games. And so I want the option to turn on the auto aim feature. Now, to round this out and to really talk for a second about what I want as a disabled gamer from a game like GTA 6, I actually specifically bought my PlayStation for the purpose of playing GTA 5. And it had nothing to do with the story. I don't really, I like the stories in these games and they're great, and I'm sure this is going to be no exception because it's Rockstar. However, I buy these games because as a blind person with very, very limited vision, I can't drive. I can't go around the world and do sighted people stuff, right? I can't play golf. I can't drive a boat. I can't see the sights scuba diving for an endless amount of time in real life, but I can do that in these games. I can get in a car and, drive wherever I want to go and maybe, destroy the car and just have fun anyway in this game, because it's a world that kind of lifts some of the restrictions that the real world puts on me. What I can't do is do those things if the game itself is not made accessible and playable for disabled people. And so I'm really hoping that there are accessibility options that allow for these features to be configured and adjusted and turned on and off as we need. A lot of gaming companies now have done this really, really well. Sony and Insomniac Games specifically, who did the Spider-Man games, have a lot of really great accessibility features. Naughty Dog, who makes the Last of Us games, especially their more recent The Last of Us Part 1 and Part 2, the kind of remasters. I know everyone, myself included, is kind of sick of things getting remade so quickly and close together. But the fact that those games actually added accessibility features to the caliber that they did is literally a reason that I intend to, when I get a gaming setup for this channel and everything, I intend to actually play through those games with accessibility options. The other thing I would love to see is, and I'm just thinking about this because I think The Last of Us does this, is audio description for cutscenes. And that is basically someone narrating the things on screen that are seen. And so that can be everything from subtle facial expressions, right? Sometimes you can learn a lot about a character by just looking at them. I can't. And so being able to see that maybe someone's kind of giving shifty eyes off camera to someone we're not seeing, or that there is a signal being given to someone across the play area that's going to betray you or whatever. I want to be able to experience those moments with the same level of nuance and the same level of description as anyone else. And I know it's possible because it's been done. Audio description already exists on lots of movies and TV shows, and as I said before, in The Last of Us remasters, in the game itself. And so I'd love to see audio description for cutscenes, and I know that Rockstar has money, lots of it. Please do these things for those of us who can't do these things for ourselves. So, hope that was an interesting insight into talking a little bit about GTA 6 and some potential features. I'm happy to talk more in depth in future videos about how I game and that sort of thing. I've played some games on this channel. I've kind of dabbled in it. I'm working on trying to save up so that I can get another console and kind of get a setup up here in my studio so that I can make gaming videos on this channel. If you would be interested in that, especially in how I experienced GTA 6 and some content relating to accessibility and playing the game the way that I need to play the game, please let me know. And if you have any questions, comments, queries, theories, concerns, or anything else, please don't hesitate to put them in the comments section down below. Thank you so much for watching. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and we'll see you soon. Peace.